Hello, Bryan Colter here for another horoscope video from the perspective of Evolutionary Astrology, where we will take a close look at this Scorpio New Moon. Before we get to that though, quick announcement. As of the release of this video, I am now hosting a holiday sale on my website. I'll put a link below, where all my products and services are 25% off. That includes my astrology readings, obviously, but also the classes I teach within my two schools, the School of Astrology as well as the School of Consciousness. So come check it out if you're interested. Fair warning, my calendar books out rather quickly, so better sooner than later. With all that being said, let's dive into the astrology. So diving into this Scorpio New Moon, this is a stormy event and cocktail of planets. And I don't say that just because it's in Scorpio, the stormiest of all the signs, but really what else is going on, ramping this energy up to a considerable degree. A couple months ago, I did a video called Batten Down the Hatches, which is something that people do when they're out at sea to prepare for the storm, so the ship doesn't take on too much water. And that was the theme of that video. A couple months ago, it was a period of preparation as we get ready to enter the storm. Now, starting November and December, the storm is here. But the storm starts really strong in November. And the reason for that is the Saturn Uranus square is super activated this month. And that's one of the major events of this year and next year, really. But for this year, 2021, that's the headliner. Also, the other headliner is Pluto Era Square. And I've talked about both these events at length. So I won't repeat all that, although we will touch on it a little bit for newcomers. But they're whoppers. And the reason why they're whoppers is because it's these slower moving outer planet events. When they come together through strong aspect in the sky, this creates a strong, let's say, archetypal field to be worked with, which is a set of energies. So these are slow-moving planets. I mean, Saturn has a 29.5-year cycle, right around there. Uranus has an 84-year cycle. Pluto has a 248-year cycle. And Eris has like a 560-year cycle or something like that. It's really slow. And the Pluto is really interesting, almost 250-year cycle. And it's exactly in the point in the sky right now that it was on that fateful day, July 4th, 1776, when America, the Declaration of Independence and all that, the birth of America. So the U.S. is getting its Pluto return right now. And Pluto is about transformation. It's the death and rebirth sequence. So there's a particular emphasis on the U.S. During this 2-year chunk of time. Both the Saturn-Uranus square and the Pluto Era Square are about 2-year time windows. Different astrologers have different opinions on that. It depends on what degree of orbs we use, an area of influence and such, but I think it's about 2 years. And I love to focus on those slower moving events because when these planetary bodies come together through aspect, these slow movers, this creates windows of time that can gain so much momentum and bring about great change to humanity, to the collective. Of course, they impact our personal lives in a big way too, especially if they hit a sensitive place in our birth chart. But we definitely feel it on the global scale, and we've been seeing it, okay? Now, within those 2-year chunk of time, it's not even keeled. I mean, we're always going to be feeling it, but it's very much like a wave or very spiky, almost like a heartbeat monitor. And the top of the spike is connected to the other, let's say, faster moving personal planets that therefore trigger the larger complex that we're experiencing. And November is probably the biggest trigger month of this year as a whole. And the reason for that is the biggest triggering planet there basically is, which is Mars, is just entered Scorpio. I'm going to say something about that in a second. But it's entering, implicit in the fact it just entered Scorpio, is it's doing a very hard, what's called applying square, and that's the strongest kind when it's applying. to Saturn and applying opposition to Uranus. And squares and oppositions, they're hard aspects. They're friction or tension based, and they're hard to integrate. Okay, and they feel a little bit more volatile, but they are more difficult to work with. And of course, the Sun and Moon being in Scorpio during this new moon, they're also squaring Saturn and opposite Uranus. So this month is charged, having that triggering effect. Now, Mars has triggered this complex twice already this year. It did in January, when Mars entered Taurus, formed a conjunction with Uranus and was squaring Saturn. So that was a big triggering month, and of course that was a very colorful month for obvious reasons, for many reasons actually. And then it triggered the complex again in late June, early July, thereabouts, when Mars was in Leo, hitting the opposition to Saturn, squaring Uranus. And those two brief time windows of this year where the tension between the Saturn-Uranus square was at maximum amplitude. And the general themes with Saturn-Uranus, I've said it many times, it's basically the tension between restriction, Saturn, freedom impulses, Uranus, or rules and regulations, top-down law and order, and Uranus, the rule breaker, the criminal, the stepping outside of the framework of what governmental bodies deem is appropriate, And then we also have, what else? Order, Saturn, versus chaos, Uranus. Now, there's a restrictive quality to Saturn, and Uranus hates it, so it rebels against it. And this is the major friction we're feeling. Meanwhile, this is complicated further by the Pluto Era Square, which is big subject, but it's really highlighting the extreme polarity, really polarities between light and dark, of Eris, which is basically survival of the fittest, dog-eat-dog world, the dark side of competition, okay? And gosh, we've really seen that with a lot of the corporations, really taking advantage of what we've been experiencing the last couple of years. And the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. And the small businesses of the world are just getting decimated while these big companies are just reaping in more money than they ever have before. So the income gap inequality margin was horrific even before 2 years ago. But now it's just like, what's worse than horrific? It's unsustainable. It's untenable. And people are feeling the walls closing in. That's Saturn. And Uranus want to feel more freedom. That's the Uranian impulse. And we also want to evolve to a whole new level of society. That's the Uranian impulse as well. Okay? So that's the tension. And it hits a fever pitch when it's smacked by the triggering, the big badass Mars, the war god, which has a huge triggering influence. It's the key trigger planet because it's a dynamic, spicy, assertive, action-oriented planet. That's just the essence of it. And you can have this logs on the fire in the fireplace, and they're kind of smoldering, and there's a lot of heat in there, and they're very close to just really combusting into full flames and creating this like bonfire, but they're not quite there. They need a little help. And then in comes a lighter fluid. And then poof, you have this full fire. So Mars is the lighter fluid. And that's getting added to the fire this month. And I did briefly mention that it just entered Scorpio, and this is super significant because I've said this many times on this channel, because Mars rules Scorpio. Whenever a planet is in its own sign, it is very powerful. It's like taking a Red Bull or something like that, And Mars, just by its very nature, doesn't really need to drink a Red Bull. It kind of is the representation of Red Bull. It's energetic, it's active, it's aggressive, okay? So Mars is drinking a Red Bull right now. and having that triggering influence on this major complex. So although it's happened twice already this year, I see the top of the spike or the bell curve, the crescendo of energy, even higher than January, June, and July. So all this Scorpio energy, also Mars in Scorpio, and Mars and Scorpio have some words in common. The two that come to my mind right now are intensity and passionate. So passionate intensity this month. And it's applying that triggering effect on the qualities I described before with Saturn, Uranus, Pluto, Eris. So how is this going to manifest on the world stage? Who knows? The future is probabilistic. I can't possibly know. I can guess. I can speculate. Okay, but predictive astrology is a dubious enterprise. It's just we can try to make exact guesses, but we're often wrong a lot because within this rather complex archetypal field, there's still a wide range of potentials, and the future is not fixed. However, I feel it will be passionately intense, and I feel like it's really going to this teeter-totter between Saturn and Uranus is going to go, whoa, pretty crazy as they fight for balance. So who knows how it manifests? I know that there's been peaceful protests all over the planet in many different countries where many thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of people are coming together with that Uranian impulse of seeking more freedom in their lives. And then you see the videos where this is happening, and you see all these people saying freedom, 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 or something like that, which is the word for Uranus, basically. And then you juxtapose that with, you look further down the street and you have all this police and riot gear and tear gas, and they're not putting up with it, That's the more Saturn. So there's Saturn, Uranus. That could ramp up to a big degree. Those peaceful protests gaining even greater numbers. And what's really sad is you're not seeing these protests on mainstream media. The famous quote, "The revolution will not be televised," because they don't want to shine a spotlight on that because it will only grow, even if it's negative press. So that could have a big uproar this month. It could be where groups of people who have very fervent fixed belief systems, that's tying into the dark side of Sagittarius, the South nodes in Sag. I've talked about that many times. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a video on my channel called The Nodes of the Moon Traveling Through Sagittarius and Gemini, where I talked extensively about that event. But that's kind of background music as well, where the world is drunk on religion, as I put it, and people have fixed set of ideologies and belief systems, and they're fighting through the Uranus-Saturn square, belief system against belief system, and dividing us more. It's very divisive, okay? So these belief systems hitting a fever pitch. I believe this, you're wrong. I believe this, you're wrong. Maybe they'll hit some sort of crescendo, And of course, I'm not referring to one specific polarity of groups here. It trickles out into many different regions. But that could flare up in a big way. Who knows how it manifests, okay? But the core question, the most important question we really want to ask, and this is very much an evolutionary astrology question. It's like, okay, that's describing the energy, okay, descriptive astrology, which is great, but let's go to prescriptive astrology and try to understand it from a layer deeper. And the follow-up question is why? Why is this happening to us now in this meaningful, interconnected universe where we're co-creating with the divine? Why is this happening to us? Because it's intense, but there's a purpose. What is it? What is it? Okay. And then another question, which is, what do we do with it? And how can we work with this energy gracefully, ultimately to grow, learn, and evolve? That's why we're here, I believe. The School of Hard Knocks, planet Earth. So why is it happening? Well, if you eat something and you get food poisoning, okay, what needs to happen? There needs to be a purging. There needs to be a cleansing. There needs to be a healing. We get the gag reflex. That's the trigger, the gag reflex. November, the month of the gag reflex, Obviously, I'm being a little silly here, but we have to, the toxicity, which basically what I mean by that is collective accrued negative karma, it comes to the surface. The wounds rise to the surface in all their horror so that we can be reminded that they're there. That's the purpose. And then what we do with that reminder is totally up to us. But potentially, the opportunity is to utterly heal and transform. This video is called Pulling Out the Pain. So, pain, healing, and transformation. That's the juxtaposition of this very Scorpionic energy. This is the heartbeat of Scorpio. The shaman archetype, the psychologist archetype that wants to dig beneath the surface of things and explore our inner hell worlds to attempt to transmute that hell into a paradise. Okay? So that's the evolutionary intention. Or, what's the dark side? We get triggered and it gets into this very chaotic place and devolves into a full-blown psychodrama. And there can be even more pain that's created from that. How do we handle this energy? It's dependent upon us as a collective, of course. The future's not fixed. Here we are co-creating with the divine. So that helps to answer the question, why is it happening? What's the evolutionary opportunity? And how do we work with it best? And armed with this information and understanding the archetypal energy that's filtering through human consciousness, we can figure out how to work with the energy instead of against it, and also have a certain level of compassion as we observe other people in the world or in our lives which are having a lower octave response to this archetypal field. And they're going more into that passionate psychodrama place, okay, which is only going to breed more of that psychodrama, because where attention goes, energy flows, and that will trigger and stimulate other people's inner pain, inner traumas that resonate with that, and it grows and grows and grows. And we can recognize that's probably going to happen. And then we can also, knowing is half the battle, know how to, or what to avoid in terms of, maybe avoid's the wrong word, but, falling into the trap, let's say, of the dark side, and we may get triggered ourselves. On average, humans will get more triggered this month. Not everybody. It really depends on where it's landing in your own personal birth chart, but we will see this a lot. People will be touchier. People will be more passionately reactive, okay? So not falling into that reactivity, okay? And instead, recognizing that it's there, you might get triggered, but if those internal gremlins or those dark sides within you that are low consciousness emotions that derive from fear, pain, anger, grief, all these things, which are human emotions, they're necessary, but to stay there, to dwell there, that's the dark side of Scorpio. And work towards transmuting that inner pain into love and light. Okay, it's like one of those compost bins, the turning ones, that you put all the eggshells and the trash in, and then you turn the compost bin in the hot sun, and eventually it turns into fertilizer, something that can foster growth within you. Okay, now I am generalizing the energy here, but we can focus it down really quite precisely in your own personal journey, always by understanding your birth chart, which is something I can't possibly know as I'm talking to many of you. Which is why I encourage people to learn how to read their chart and learn how to find, okay, where's Scorpio in my wheel, my personal wheel. Find Scorpio, recognize that, okay, Mars is going to be here during the new moon. I think it's at 3 degrees of Scorpio. The new moon, the sun and moon, will be at 12.5 degrees of Scorpio. So you find those markers in your chart, and you realize, oh, you might have a planet there, and it's impacting your planet. What does that mean? It's happening in a certain house. And you can say, okay, where am I taking this very transformational Scorpionic energy? The archetype of the psychologist, of the shaman, of the private detective that wants to dig, that wants to do deep psyche spelunking, and traverse the inner hell worlds to turn them into paradises. How can I apply that transformational energy in a very specific area of my life, reflected at your very particular scorpionic place within your chart? So for those of you that don't know how to read your chart and what I'm talking about, that's one of my products that's on sale. It's called Finding Your Chart. I'll link that one as well, where I teach you in a 45-minute video how to do that yourself and apply it more meaningfully and precisely in your life. So those are the pitfalls and some of the higher ground, not only for the collective, but on a more personal level as we go through this process of death and rebirth. This is the phoenix diving into the ashes to be reborn. I know it's intense. I know it's painful, but there is a higher ground. And that's, this can definitely reach a very positive, beautiful, even ecstatic outcome, a very healing outcome, because that's why I love these lunar videos, because the moon, deals ultimately with our emotional healing and our emotional world. So those are the core evolutionary intentions, with the goal being to expand our consciousness. And per usual, we're going to immediately transition into my guided meditation. This meditation is actually called Pulling Out the Pain, and it's a very intense meditation, but as you'll see, a very scorpionic one. And as usual, I use binaural beats, so use headphones for best results. Enjoy. Start out with a nice straight spine. Close your eyes. And if you're sitting down, feel as though there's a string slightly pulling the top of your head up towards the universe, elongating the spine a bit, ever so slightly tilting the chin down. And just focus on your breath. And feel how the breath rushes into the body. Along with the oxygen, you're breathing in etheric vitality into your energy system. And we're going to start with the relaxation technique, and then we'll transition to pulling out the pain. Begin by focusing on the big toe of your left foot. And then the toe next to the big toe of your left foot. And now the middle toe. And the toe to the left of that. And now the pinky toe. And now feel the toenails of your left foot. And bring your attention up through your entire foot. Feel all the bones and tissues of your left foot. And move your attention up into your left ankle. And up through your calf muscle and shin bone. And now to your left knee. And into your left thigh. Left hip. And now move across your pelvic floor to your right hip. Now move down to your right thigh. Your right knee. Your right calf muscle and shin bone. and flow down into your right ankle and right foot. Feel the bones and tissues and veins of your right foot. Now the pinky toe of your right foot. The toe left of that. The middle toe of your right foot. And the toe left of that. And now the big toe. And now focus on the toenails of the right foot. And now expand your awareness and feel both of your legs at the same time. Now focus on the lower back. And begin to move up through the lower back towards the middle back. And now the upper back. And into the shoulders. And spread your awareness up over your shoulders and into your chest area. Feel your heart beat in your chest. That beautiful rhythm within you, the pulse of life. And move down into the stomach area. And expand your awareness to the entire trunk of your upper body. Now back over to the right shoulder. Move down to the right bicep and tricep area. The right elbow. Forearm, wrist, and right hand. Now feel the fingernails of your right hand. Now move back up your right arm, across your upper body and into the left shoulder, down into the left upper arm, elbow, left forearm, wrist, and left hand. Feel the fingernails of your left hand. Now move back up the left arm, all the way up into the throat area. And feel all the muscles in your throat area. And you may have the urge to swallow. Try not to. Stay nice and still. And now move your attention to the back of the neck. And begin to move up the back of the head. Feel both of your ears up to the top of your head, and move down your forehead, and feel your eyebrows, eyelashes, eyelids, and your eyes. And now down to your nose. Focus on the tip of your nose and your upper lip and cheeks, chin, and lower lip. Now focus on your mouth and your tongue. And expand your awareness to your entire physical body. And feel completely present in your physical body. Now I want you to begin to think about something that happened in your past. Something very traumatic. Could be anything. Maybe it's something a parent said to you, or a friend said to you, or a nasty judgment a peer gave to you. Whatever caused you great pain. Some kind of betrayal, rejection, or abandonment. And feel the emotion, feel the pain as you relive the experience. Try to remember the smells you were having, what you were hearing, what you were seeing, what you were feeling in your body. Use all your senses. The thoughts you were having, the feelings you had about it. Now feel into your body and feel where it is in your body that you're feeling this emotional pain. And take note of that in your mind. This is your current energy field within the body that's a doorway to the past, to that event. And you're feeling where the pain manifests in your body. Now focus on the past again. And begin thinking about negative experiences that have occurred in your life. Every time you were abandoned, every time you needed help but nobody was there, every time you were betrayed when somebody was pretending to be one thing but ended up being another thing. Every time someone emotionally or physically hurt you. Every time someone lied to you. Anytime you wanted to be included but you were rejected. Anytime you were told you were a failure. Anytime you wanted to express something that was important to you and you were criticized. Anytime you did something really great, but your work was not praised. Anytime someone called you a name or made fun of you or made you the butt of a joke. Feel all these past experiences and really drum up as much pain as you can. And just allow it to come up more and more and more. Really exaggerate the feelings and thoughts. And then, out in front of you, in the center of the room, go ahead and imagine all this dark energy traveling out of your body through that place you were feeling the pain, through a portal in your body, and being projected out into the center of the room. And you can visualize it as a black smoke or an oily substance or whatever color you want to give it. The darkness pouring out of you, and just let it come out more and more and more. And with the superpower of your intention, make a powerful act of will and say to yourself in your mind, I consciously wish to surrender this. I consciously choose to allow this to leave my body. As you allow it to pour out more and more. And begin to visualize this dark energy in the center of the room and start examining it and be curious about what's there. And you're just looking at it, seeing it for what it is. And you begin to notice that there's a little bit of shimmering in there, almost like some golden sparks that shoot out every now and again. And you begin to notice and realize that at the very core of this darkness is divine radiance there. Now target that with your mind, the radiance, and separate that from the darkness. And you begin to separate the radiance from the pain and bring the negativity and blackness to the left side of the room, and bring the radiance, knowledge, and wisdom gained from those experiences to the right side of the room. You're splitting them. You're seeing them separately. And as the darkness moves to the left, it gets darker and darker, and as the radiance moves to the right, it gets brighter and brighter. Now the radiance on the right is all the knowledge and wisdom gained from those experiences. Feel all the joy that's in there, all the happiness, the kindness, the loving. Feel all the awareness that's in there. Target all the virtues in it. And now I want you to begin sipping it into your body. And on your next inhale, suck in this radiance and feel it merge with the core of your being. It's simply returning home. And it comes in and it just gently spreads out into every cell. And your cells take on this divine quality and your body becomes radiance. Every cell harmonizes with this wisdom. You become the embodiment of this wisdom. And see your body glowing brighter and brighter and brighter with each inhale. Now place your attention on the negative dark energy again. And notice there's a blue cord that extends from your life force and is tied to this darkness. And see that there's an attachment there. And from the core of your being, that comes from a place of total knowing, a place that loves all things in life. From there, from your heart, imagine your heart saying, I consciously choose to let this go. I consciously wish to surrender. I consciously wish to surrender. Now on a 45-degree angle, imagine some celestial being coming into the room, however that looks to you, whether it's your spirit guide or a totem animal or an angel or guardian deity. Whatever is meaningful for you. Imagine it there with you, supporting you through this process. And imagine it has a sword. And this is the sword of divine truth. This is a sword that is used to cut away pain to create harmony in the universe. And with a sense of gratitude, surrender, and wish to be free from this pain. And give the deity a little nod of your head, telling it you're ready. And it slowly raises its sword. And on the count of 3, it will cut through the cord of attachment. 1, 2, 3. The cord has been cut, it returns back to you. And the smoke begins to, or the blackness begins to rise into the sky above you, above your house, above your country, above the world. It's like a balloon that has been let go. It's just floating up and up and up and out into deep space. Now envision the skies in deep space, heaven breaking open and seeing a bright white light. And see this darkness rising to the white light. And now see a heavenly beam of radiance shining through and zapping that darkness and immediately transmuting it into a silvery blue light. And now it begins to return to you because it is yours, but it's been transformed. And it's coming back to earth, above your country, above your house, into the room in front of you. And on your next inhale, begin to sip in that radiant blue energy into you. And it too begins to suffuse with every cell of your body, again returning home. And feel this energy returned, and it's been harmonized. It's been changed. And what was once part of your inner hell is now a part of your inner paradise. When you heal from your past, you alter your present and you change your future. If you don't heal from your past, you can't heal your present, and the future will be the same. And take a moment to honor this deep work that you just did. And slowly begin to bring your awareness back into your body in the room. Gently begin to stretch the limbs of your body. Wiggle your fingers and toes. And whenever you're ready, open your eyes.